As far as small businesses go, bookstores are tough. Selling physical books to people in a small town in rural Texas isn't the easiest thing. But there are some perks. Number one, I get to work in a bookstore. But number two, when my friends come over, when people I know are in town, I get to walk through my own bookstore and pick out books that I know they'll love. And over the years, all sorts of really cool people have come through. Pulitzer Prize winning authors, musicians, Oscar-winning actors, billionaires, generals, politicians, activists, all sorts of cool people have come to the Painted Porch here in Bastrop, Texas. And I want to show you some of my favorite visitors and the books that they left with. What are you into reading these days? What do you like? I sort of go around and pick out some of my favorites. Have you read Letters to a Young Poet?
Nope.
That's really good. You like that?
So I'm coming into your bookstore. Ryan, here's what I'm into. I can go to any book here. You can tell me why you like that book.
Yeah. Have you read Of Boys and Men? Okay, you got to read this. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Because obviously all sorts of gains for women, but young men are especially struggling.
Yeah.
That's why there's so many sort of charlatans and grifters out there.
Yeah.
So this is an amazing book. He was just here, but it's about the research of why specifically men are struggling and then what he thinks we ought to do about it. I love it. He's great.
He's my
David Brooks.
favorite voice of reason. Here's how I found out he was somebody I like.
Yeah.
So I'll pull, when I read my daily news,
Right.
I'll pull quotes over the years. And after about 8 years of pulling quotes, I went back and read everything I'd pulled. 40% of what I pulled,
from David
unbeknownst
Brooks.
to me, was from David Brooks.
So this is the eulogy verse resume one.
Yep.
So that's great. And then his other book, let's see, do we have The Second Mountain? He has this book called The Second
I
Mountain.
did check that out.
That's great.
Yes.
I like that a lot
Yes.
too. So yeah, I love that. He's awesome.
We got that book at home.
He's great. He lives here.
He's in Austin, right?
Yep. McRaven's here, obviously, UT.
Yep. He's become formed a bit of a relationship. I go to him as a mentor of mine.
Yeah, he's great. Oh, that book's incredible. It's long, but incredible. Incredible.
I still have never made it all the way through his essays.
Really? Well, let's see.
Because I can't get past self-reliance.
Well,
I keep reading it over and over, and I read one paragraph, and I go, geez, I got to set it down and take a walk.
That gives you most of what you need. Here's a little one. These are like beautiful little, I think this is just self-reliance? Let's see. Nature, history, self-reliance. Those are the three books.
That's three, okay.
Have you read On the Shortness of Life?
No.
Okay, so where is that? This is like Seneca's greatest hits, On the Shortness of Life. Oh, here's this. This is for you. This just came in because you blurbed this one. This is the leather edition of Daily Dad.
Yes.
That one should hold up a little better. Do you know Wright Thompson?
No.
Ooh. I think he's the greatest living sports writer. Plus, this title is just fucking amazing. You grew up in Mississippi. You just wrote this incredible book about the barn. It's called The Barn, and it's about the site where Emmett Till was killed. This is like our family's favorite book.
Yeah? Texas.
Have you read Stephen Pressfield's Gates of Fire? That's his best book. I'll give you that. This is the last page of Gates of Fire from his original manuscript he sent.
So what's the play on lie?
So the 300 Spartans are sent. They die. They buy Greece a week to regroup, and then they defeat the Persians. This is the battle that saves the West from being colonized by the East. So they're saying, like, you sent us here, and here we lie.
Okay.
Forever obedient to your, do our duty. That's what it's saying. Okay. Have you read Nic's novel?
Pizzolatto?
Galveston? No, Nic's.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I actually like it. There's not a lot of, there's some good Texas novels, but I feel like that's a more modern one. This is maybe the best Texas book ever, Lone Star. It's a slog, though. It's pretty good, but it's a slog. You read Robert Caro? He's the greatest. So he's been working on this book since Johnson died, and he's 90, and he's on the fifth and final. It's a race against time. He's on the fifth and final one now. Have you read McCullough's Truman?
I read McCullough 1776 and loved it.
Read his Truman one.
Okay, the Truman.
The Truman one is incredible.
Okay. Oh, sweet. Thank you, dude.
Yeah, very underrated president in my view.
Okay.
He's awesome. Have you read Ask the Dust by John Fante?
No.
All right, this is the big Italian one.
Okay.
So John Fante he's an Italian immigrant. He ends up in LA. This is like 1920s. And he falls in love with this Mexican girl. and he's racist against her, and she's
Yeah.
racist against him.
Oh, wow.
Right, because like Italians were not considered white.
Sure.
Right, and so it's this really interesting book about the Italian American experience. But he desperately wants to be this writer. It's all about like the craziness and ego of wanting to be a writer. It's like one of my favorite. I think it's the great LA novel. And then the backstory on the novel is he publishes it, and this in like 1933. The same year, his publisher publishes an unauthorized edition of Mein Kampf.
Oh, sick.
Because Hitler's this guy in Germany who's not started World War II yet, but he's just this guy. And they're like, we should publish this book. People should see it so they know what he's talking about. And the thing was, Hitler was an actual author. Like his book was published in the U.S. by Houghton Mifflin.
Right.
Like, so they had the copyright. So he sues in federal court for a copyright infringement. Hitler does.
Wow.
And he wins because it'd be like if Putin published a memoir and then some publisher here was like, fuck Putin, we'll just publish it. But then Putin sues him and he wins.
Yeah.
So it bankrupts his publisher, and then the book is basically lost. Like Ask the Dust is lost because it destroys the publisher. And then the book is totally forgotten for like 50 years.
Right.
And then Bukowski rediscovers it in the Los Angeles Public Library, and it comes back, and it's
Wow.
now considered this like
Sick.
classic. It's a movie with Colin Farrell. That's not very good,
Right.
but the book is incredible.
Yeah, I'm trying more in my life now to just not watch the movie and read the book.
Yes, that's a good rule.
But then I usually just watch the movie.
Do we have a Day of Infamy?
Is that a Pearl Harbor book?
Yeah, it's really good. Have you read any Robert Greene? No. The 40 Laws of Power and...
No. I was actually listening.
So he wrote this book called The Laws of Human Nature, which I think goes well with Steven Pinker.
Excellent.
And so I was his research assistant, and that's how I learned how to write. But this book's incredible. He's saying that the law of human nature is to deny there's such a thing as human nature, that we've always sort of done this. It's incredible. Have you ever read The 40 Laws of Power?
No.
It's epic too. It's banned. Speaking of tribes, it's banned in the federal prison system. So it's basically like it's all laws of power, but it's all Machiavellian, Sun Tzu, and if you've never read them, you would love
absolutely.
do this too.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's like, and you could think about it. That almost all of them confirm some sort of tribal thing, right? He's the best. I love him so much. I think you would really like him. But Laws of Human Nature is
Fantastic.
sort of masterwork. Have you ever read William Seabrook?
Nope.
I thought this is a book, it's not very popular in the store, but I love it. Okay, so he's like the great travel journalist of the early 1920s. He brings back the word zombie from A Trip to Haiti, just like this famous great travel journalist. And then he's an alcoholic, but before there's such a thing as alcoholism. And so he checks himself into an insane asylum to dry out. And he writes a memoir about his time there. I think it made me think of, and I mean, it's tragic because then he gets out and then like the end of the book is sort of him reintroducing drinking to his life, because he does, like, even the conception of like alcoholics basically can't drink alcohol. This is, I mean, before even AA is invented.
Yeah, right.
But it's like I think one of the great travel books of all.
Oh, fantastic.
I just read this one. I loved it. Travels with Herodotus. You read this? He's like this Polish.
Kapuscinski, of course, yeah.
Polish journalist. It's like one of the few books that's not banned. And then he's sent as a journalist to all these. He's in India and he's in Greece. He's in all these different countries. But and it's sort of about Herodotus as the great sort of first travel journalist.
Wow, fantastic.
Have you read Ghostwriter? I know you're not a travel writer, so I'm not trying to play you right. But this book's kind of like a modern version of this. I can send these to you. You seem like a carry-on kind of guy. So.
I am a little backpack, so I mean, I don't even be able to fit that. But I might have you do that, because they all look amazing.
That's normally what we do. All right, I've given this away literally the last person that was here, but have you read this book yet?
No.
Okay. Incredible to talk about demoitis. So he writes Nebraska as a series of demos that are supposed to be recorded as E Street Band songs.
Interesting.
And then they don't work. And so the only song that becomes a real, like, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band song is Born in the USA.
Huh.
And you can listen to the Nebraska version.
Incredible.
And it's not good. Like, I don't like it.
Sure.
But, like, crazy. And then the interesting thing is they tried to master the album and they basically couldn't. Like it's
Right. It's too loose. It's a good story for it to be his best album. I think.
Yes.
I think that
it's
that carries a lot of it.
The music critics might be like overstating the case a little bit because it's
Sure.
like when you are going to put on, if you're going to pick 10 Bruce Springsteen songs, would you pick those?
There's great songs on it. Yeah, for
yes,
sure.
Yes.
Incredible.
Have you read The Inner Game of Tennis?
No, but I've seen this
This
book.
is Tom Brady's favorite book.
Whoa.
It's about like how do you like most elite performance. You're not conscious of it while you're doing it. It's like a
flow state thing.
But like, how do you get into this sort of unconscious doing? Like, if you're consciously thinking, hey, I have to hit the ball here, I have to do this, you're not going to do it well.
Yep.
But then also you have to train over and over for it. Have you read Zen and the Art of Archery?
No.
Those are related and spread out obviously in two very different traditions, like tennis and archery, but. And one sort of Zen Buddhist, and the other is more Western.
I've got flights and stuff coming up.
There you go.
You're going to get me back on the book train. I love that.
Okay, so I'm so glad that you talked about Booker T. Washington's book. I think this is one of the great American memoirs. It's lovely. I love the story about him sweeping the floor too. That's how he gets into college.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yes, I cleaned the blackboard. I did it 3 times.
Yeah.
Yes, it makes complete sense that they could not have used another sort of admissions test.
Have you read Paul Jennings' memoir? It's called A Slave in the White House. He was Dolly Madison's slave. He's the one.
Oh, I know who he is.
She gets credited for saving the painting, but it was him.
Yes, I do know this story.
Dina, do we have her left foot? See, I love this book.
I know, that's so
It's
great.
so good.
It's so great. I know.
I've read that to my kids many times.
Yes.
I loved it.
This is good. This one is good.
She's
I've read
amazing.
this one.
His
I love
daughter,
Eric Larson.
Wrote a piece about me for Texas Monthly. She's a
Did
great
she?
writer. Yes. Have you read this?
Oh, yes. I
Okay.
love that one. I love Candace Millard, too. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah, she blurbed your book.
Yes, she
I
did.
had her on. She's
Yes.
amazing.
I am a huge Bill Bryson fan. I love Bill Bryson
course.
so much, and this is one of my favorite Bill
I
Bryson
I
books.
just gave some talks in Australia, so I reread that book, and I was just like
He's
amazed
so
at how
good.
good it is.
He's so good.
Have you read Tunnel 29?
No.
Okay. This is about the tunnels that they were digging under the Berlin Wall.
Oh, I
And
love
this,
it.
This guy, insane, so
Yes.
good. Will
Okay,
blow your
I
mind how
need
good
this
it is.
one. Yes. I love Patrick Reddenkeefe. I think he's
Oh, that book's
fantastic. I love him.
incredible
Yeah.
also.
Of course, Doris Kearns Goodwin.
the
Of
best.
course, she's incredible. And Parting the Waters. This is also
Yes.
one of my favorites.
We should have The Children. I love that book too.
AJ Jacobs is hilarious.
He was just here.
He's very funny.
I've known him forever.
He's very funny.
Oh, have you read Why Fish Don't Exist?
Yes.
She's
yes.
awesome.
I love Kate Bowler.
Yes. she's
Yes.
great. Have you read A Gift from the Sea?
No,
Okay,
I've not
take
read that one.
It's 5 or 6 meditations on these different seashells. It's a very beautiful book
Okay,
about stillness and quiet and other such things.
I love that.
You recommended, I think I saw Dr. Becky in your acknowledgement.
Oh yes, I love
greatest
Dr.
parenting
Becky.
book ever.
She's great. Yep.
She's the best. Have you read Die With Zero? I've been raving about that lately.
Yeah, actually, my wife's reading that right now.
Really?
And it's blowing her mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. Gets you thinking about a lot of interesting stuff.
Did you end up going, so people don't know, we're in this sort of writing group that met before the pandemic that was Shane Parrish, James Clear, before he'd done any books,
Tim Urban,
Steve Cam, you, me, I think we're forgetting some. David Epstein.
yeah, David. Yep.
For Range. Did you go?
No.
Okay.
It's actually this coming weekend.
Oh, right. That's why I'm not going. Yeah,
Yeah.
spring break.
Did you read the Michael Lewis one?
Oh,
The new
Going
one?
Infinite?
Yeah.
So good.
Is it?
I think people gave him
So much
a bunch-
shit?
Yeah, he fillets the dude. He comes off as a complete clown.
Really?
Yeah, totally. He comes off as a great example of a person who's very smart but also a moron.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
he doesn't read, he thinks he knows everything, he doesn't think personal or soft skills matter. He's actually a horrendous manager. He's not on top. Yeah, I thought the book was really interesting. I liked it.
Interesting.
I've been raving about this book, which I think you would like, it's a biography of Pontius Pilate,
Oh, wow.
which like you don't think of as a guy who had a shitty job.
Yeah, right.
He's just the governor of a province of the Roman Empire, and then
Yeah.
there's like a troublemaker in it. We don't know that much about him.
Yeah.
But like she's the obituaries editor for the Economist, so she's like a really interesting writer, and it's like one of the greatest biographies I've ever read in my life.
Really?
So good.
Huh.
Ooh. Okay. Talk about the best way to understand the present is to read from a long time ago. Do you know who Jan Morris is? So Jan Morris is the journalist who climbs Everest with Hillary. He is the great historian of the British Empire. And then in, 1960, 1970, gets gender reassignment surgery, like realizes.
Super early, yeah.
Yeah. But so it's a memoir of what it is like to be trans, but from like 3 generations or multiple generations before any of the things that have now made that discussion toxic.
Wow.
And you can't possibly say that like this wasn't a dude.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who like this was like a man's man who's in the army, like all this stuff, but like deep down knew he was someone and something else. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of the best books I read last year. Have you read The Daily Drucker?
I've not.
That was the inspiration for the Daily Stoic. 'Cause
Really?
My agent Steve did that book.
No
because
shit.
yeah, you go like people know Peter Drucker is a leadership expert, but like
Yeah.
they're like, where do you start?
Yeah.
And there isn't like a class. It's not like if you're like I want to read Jim Collins, you read Good to Great. That's his like classic book. There isn't one for Peter Drucker.
Yeah.
And so you could get the wrong one. And so he was like, why don't we just do 1 page a day of the best stuff?
Yeah.
And it was a huge hit. And so that's when he suggested the Daily Stoic. That's the model he was using because he had done it as a publisher.
Wow.
So it's pretty good. You might like that.
Nice.
Have you read Feynman's Rainbow?
No.
Okay, this is like. Have you read about Feynman at all?
Oh, I know a lot about Feynman.
Okay, so this is.
The only things I've ever bought at auction, ever.
Yes.
2 Japanese saddles that I bought to reward myself. I
the
said that
TV
would be
show?
my reward when I finished the 4-hour. No, when I finished the 4-hour body, and I think if it hit number 1, it was like 10 grand.
Yeah.
The other auction, the only other time that I've really bought things, I bought some of the placemats that he sketched on at the strip clubs.
Yeah, where he would
Some
he would
of his
draw.
original Feynman diagrams, and I have his tambourine. So yes, I am a huge Feynman.
Okay, so
Aficionado.
Leonard Moldenau, he wrote The Drunkard's Walk, right?
Yeah, I recognize the name.
But so he was a PhD student or assistant professor, whatever. He gets a job as a physics, whatever. He's learning physics at Caltech, and his office is next to Feynman as Feynman is getting old and dealing with cancer. But it's like, I think it's the best biography of Feynman. It's small, and it's just about their experience. So it's basically just like kind of his conversations with him and Feynman. I loved it. It's so
cool.
good.
All right. You read a lot of books, so if you say you loved it.
I loved it.
This is also appetizingly small.
That's what like the Feynman biography
Says the
I
guy
tried
who
to read.
can't seem to write any book less than
Well,
600 pages.
there's a book called Genius. It's a biography of Feynman, but it's like huge, and it was okay, but like it wasn't me. Have you seen Pressfield's new book? I don't know if we have it. The Daily Pressfield.
Oh wow.
Did he send you one?
He didn't send me one of these.
All right, well, take that one.
That's cute. This is cool. I could spend all day just looking
I know.
at the books. This is where I sometimes get myself into trouble.
Well, this is all your fault, as I said. There's this book, The Sun, by this guy, Philip Meyer.
The Sun?
The Sun, like S-O-N. It's a Pierce Brosnan show on Showtime also, but it's like maybe the best novel about Texas I think I've read. It's like, well, I guess there's Lonesome Dove, which is the undisputed one.
good.
Yeah. So this is, I won't compare the two, but it's like, it's crazy good novel about it. It's the same thing. Like if you, like, even though we waste food all the time, if you killed it, you feel like extra responsible.
Yeah, you feel super responsible. Totally.
Okay, I mentioned Gift of Failure.
Gift of Fear, love.
Gift of
by
Fear is
Gavin
also
Becker.
incredible,
But yes, great. Gift of Failure.
Jessica Leahy's amazing. And of
Love
course, you're
this
gonna.
book.
Which one?
Very good.
Oh, Anti-Fragile?
Yeah.
Very good. Have you read How to Raise Kids Who Aren't Assholes?
No!
Did you read Expecting Better?
Yes, I did read that.
Okay.
Emily Oster, yes.
I think you would like this book from her instead.
The Addiction Inoculation.
So how do you raise kids if you know, obviously addicts are predisposed to have addictive children. What are the proactive steps you take to not pass shit? Your shit on your
Yes,
kids?
they say genetics loads the gun, environment pulls the trigger.
Yes.
Let's not pull the trigger.
Have you read The War of Art?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this is my other favorite parenting creativity book.
Baby on the Fire Escape.
I think it's great. It's about, you know, like there's this sort of stereotype of like the very selfish mother who abandons their kid for their art, but what was actually going on with those people?
Right.
There's this scene in the book, I think I put it in Discipline. This poet is at this like party with the Beats, like Allen Ginsberg is there and Jack Kerouac is there. and she like gets up to leave, like the party's just getting going, and she gets up to leave. She's like, my kid had to relieve a babysitter. And Jack Kerouac says to her, he says, you'll never make it as an artist if you don't forget about the babysitter. And she says, actually, I'll never make it as an artist if I forget about the babysitter. She's like, I gave this person my word, I made a commitment, I would leave by this time at this party.
Ooh.
So you're saying like this sort of male point of like be the selfish person, blow off the familial obligations to like network, experience, be part of the scene. And she's saying, actually, no, what matters is like that I gave someone my word, the kid or the babysitter. And that's what actually matters is keeping the word. So,
yeah.
Super good. I think you'll like
I
that.
love that. Ooh, we love this.
Yeah, he's amazing.
We love
You know
Rick
him, right?
Rubin, of course. Yeah, Bird by Bird. My therapist recommended this book.
That's really good.
I
She's
had
great.
just got
She
it.
has kind of a parenting book too, I think, if I remember correctly. This is one of my favorites. I actually I did a bunch of sessions with her too, but I thought you might relate to that one. It's so good. So good. Even the title, sometimes there's a book so good, the title's like, fuck, that helped me a lot.
You said something when we were recording that I really was like, didn't want to interrupt you, but I really wanted like you to say more about like your mom saying like the $30,000. Like it blew my mind when this therapist told me parenting is a one-way relationship. It's only caretaking.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't owe your parents money.
Of course.
It's not your job to take care of their needs emotionally in any capacity.
Right.
And from a very early age, I was emotionally caretaking my parents.
Sure.
And that's not our job as children.
Yeah, I try to remind myself like they owe me nothing and I owe them everything. Right? Like if you had amazing parents, you don't owe them, you just owe your kids.
How do you decide which books you're going to put on the shelf?
It's either ones I read and loved or they're ones that Sam read and loved. So that's the test. I think it's like that one. So this guy's name's William Seabrook. He was like the biggest journalist in the world in the 20s, but he's an alcoholic. And but that's not a thing. There's a pre-AA, and so he checks himself into an insane asylum to treat his alcoholism, and he writes about the whole thing, and it's like this fascinating memoir. This person struggling with this thing, kind of like that nobody understands is a thing.
It's called Asylum.
Yeah, he was this crazy travel journalist. Like he's the one who brought the word zombie to America. Like
wow.
he wrote all these books that were, you read them and you're like, oh, this book sold 200,000 copies in 1917, and you've never heard of it or whatever. But yeah, Asylum's another one that when I found it and started talking about it, there were basically like no copies left, and then this publisher brought it back in print, and then we seemed to not be able to keep it in stock. Have you read this one, Steve?
Thank you.
Fessenberg's wife.
I've read that a long time ago.
Oh, you did? It was a huge book.
I haven't read it in years.
Oh, it sold like 5 million copies or something.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
You live in Melbourne. You like it.
Would you mind sending this to me in the mail?
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
it's here for. But I just read this book. It's called Grant's Final Victory, and it's about the last year of his life when he's dying of. So first, you know what happens to him at the end, right?
I don't.
He basically, so after the war, he becomes. He joins this Wall Street firm. He puts his entire fortune in it. His son is running it. He's working with this guy named Ferdinand Ward, who's basically like the Bernie Madoff of his day, but he doesn't know it. So Grant becomes obscenely rich and then loses all of it. And so he's a broken man. He has to hawk his war mementos to J.P. Morgan just to live. And so he starts to think about writing his memoirs. Cause he has this problem with his tongue. He keeps ignoring it. And then he finds out he's dying of tongue cancer. And so he realizes that he's going to leave his family destitute. So he starts to think of writing his memoirs. And so he starts to write the memoirs. He's thinking about it. And then Mark Twain hears that he's doing this and comes by to say hi and just asks him about the contract. And he basically realizes that Grant's about to get ripped off again. And Twain is like, I'll give you the money and we'll self-publish it and you can take 50% of the profits, and sets him up to do like a self-publishing deal. He realizes that this publishing company doesn't know what they're doing. And so Grant's basically dies like 3 days after he writes the memoirs, and then they make. But the memoirs are incredible, right?
Yeah.
They're so good, and people thought Mark Twain wrote them. There's this guy named Lee Sandlin, who's an amazing writer. He wrote a book See, it says, beginning in the 1800s and climaxing with the siege of Vicksburg in 1863, brings to life a place where the river pirates brush elbows with future presidents and religious visionaries share passages with thieves. It's totally changes your understanding of the Mississippi River. Have you read Montaigne yet? No, I haven't. Okay, I'll read this. I just want to make sure they reward more. That one is really good, and then Plutarch's How to Be a Leader is really good.
Ancient dice. Oh, perfect. Okay, that's a good start. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do those. So that's like a little biography of Montaigne that's very good, and then this is more recent. Have you read this?
No, I haven't read that. Okay, I'll start with this one and then.
Yeah, How to Live by Sarah Bakewell is like a more extended biography, and then I would read Montaigne's actual essays. Like he invents the concept of the essay, but he's just sort of asking these interesting questions about himself and about life. Very influenced by the Stoics. He sort of leaves, he's like this French noble, he leaves political life, and he just retires to this study, and he just starts writing these essays. Kind of like you. He's sort of he's on this one path, and then he's like, you know what? I just want to explore ideas. And then he starts writing these essays that become very popular, and it sort of opens up this, I wouldn't say he invented self-help, but he invented, let's say, some form of personal exploration, this sort of exploratory essay. But read that little biography is my favorite one. Stefan Zweig was like the most famous novelist in Europe, and then he has to flee during the Second World War. And so he and Montaigne have these sort of interesting parallels. I find the older stuff is best. Obviously I read some new stuff, but I prefer, that was Robert Greene's rule to me, is read the older the better. These are the World War II books I would start. This is about Dunkirk, which is like the craziest thing that ever happened, which is how they got like almost 200,000 British people off the beach when they get pinned in France. So like, you know, when he does his famous speech about how we're fighting on the beaches, whatever. This is them first they have to rescue the British army, which is caught in France. And this is Memoir of the Pacific, which is good. And then this is, and then this one I told this guy about, because the joke in Sledgehammer about Confederate statues, you have to read this one. Okay. It's basically this dude, he goes to Lee University, he grows up in the South, he teaches at West Point, and so he grows up thinking Robert E. Lee is one thing, and then sort of comes to this realization, and then he's the head of the naming commission that's renaming. They're like, hey, maybe it's crazy that we named U.S. military bases after literal traitors. Yeah. And so that's his thing. But he wrote an amazing book. You would like that book. Have you read Shadow Divers? This is also a World War II book, actually. This one's incredible. They are diving to get this German submarine that's sunk off the coast of New Jersey. It's all about like deep sea diving, but it's a crazy good story.
Really?
Yeah, so
Did
good.
you watch The Deepest Breath on
no.
that doc on Netflix about like free divers?
Oh, no.
It's fucking nuts.
Free divers are fast.
Dude,
they go so far?
Yeah, like, and they're down 4.5 minutes, and they black out on the way up.
In Shadow Divers, they mix the oxygen with like some other gas.
Here's one.
Can
I have this one?
Okay.
Do you know Steve Rinella at all?
I know who he is. No, is it good?
This book on Buffalo is real. This you wouldn't think would be good, but it's actually incredible. He gets a tag to hunt a buffalo, and so he goes out to shoot it. And it's this story about like the species in America and how
this I
didn't
love, by the way. Of course.
Have you read Admiral Stavridis' books?
Of course.
Okay, good.
I'm sure I got a blurb in here somewhere.
Okay.
I'm always.
I love those.
You know,
Captain Crozier, that's the guy I was thinking.
Crozier,
He was on the. Have you read this one? The leadership lessons
I have
of
not.
Cyrus the Great.
No.
It's fictional, but it's very good. Xenophon is a student of Socrates, but he's fascinated with Cyrus, this Persian king. He writes a real book. This is sort of a fictionalized light translation of like all of the lessons of the Eastern philosopher king. So he's like the Eastern Marcus Aurelius. Do you have a good translation of Meditations?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've got a couple of them, and the one I'm rereading is I really like it. But I had one that I actually pulled up on an ebook.
Yeah.
And the whole introduction was, which kind of surprised me. I thought, was this the standard one? And it was really this guy saying, well, but really Marcus Aurelius, was against Christianity, and he kind of goes, and the whole thing is on this Aurelius and Christianity. I'm thinking,
interesting.
I'd never seen that before. And
the ebook versions are not great. I want to give you this one. This is the one. So this is my favorite translation. It's the Gregory Hayes one. And I put so many miles on mine. I bought the rights. I did a leather edition.
Yeah.
And then I have an essay in the back. But this is my favorite one. I think this is the one you want to have next to your nightstand. I'm sure you read Stockdale.
Oh yeah. Which one?
That's Courage Under Fire. That's what I have.
Oh yeah.
I sold my publisher. I'm going to do a biography of Stockdale.
Oh, fabulous.
His son wrote a book that we have. Will you grab it over there? I interviewed him. Now they're making a movie about Sybil Stockdale. We sort of glance over that it was a family affair. His son was like 9 when he was shot down. Yeah. So he was graduating from high school when that happened.
Incredible.
Have you read any Epictetus?
Oh, of course.
Okay. There's a new translation of Epictetus, I would say. What about Musonius Rufus?
No.
So Musonius Rufus is Epictetus' philosophy teacher. So this is called That One Should Disdain Hardships. The title is weird. I think he's saying like to scorn, not like run away from hardships, but not be intimidated by them. But it's a series of lectures from Musonius Rufus. So not only is Epictetus a slave who gets taught philosophy, so Musonius is clearly, but he has this essay on whether women should be taught philosophy.
Oh yeah.
And so he's like way ahead of his time as this guy who's just sort of seeing the potential in anyone. He's great too.
That's terrific.
Have you read this one on Hunter S. Thompson? I loved it because I think because obviously Fear and Loathing and whatever, and the Rum Diaries, he gets the reputation as a partier, which he was.
Right.
But he's also a brilliant political thinker.
Right.
And he has Fear and Loathing on the campaign trail. So it's him as a political thinker and as a political activist, and he was really good at sort of getting at what lies beneath the American dream, the American spirit, and whatever. I love that book. I had Tim on the podcast, and I thought he does a really good job at looking how the sad part of Hunter S. Thompson's arc is when we needed him most, he's basically a zombie.
Yes.
And that's not even getting into the suicide, which is tragic, but just like he doesn't write anything good towards the end of his life because he'd taken so much speed and stuff that his brain was basically fried. Right. Which we don't really look at as I think people just think, oh, you just do it and then not do it. Mm-hmm. But there's a cost to subjecting yourself to that for decades. I thought it was really good. Yeah. I think you'll like that one. Have you read It Can't Happen Here?
That's the one I've been wanting to read.
Okay, let's get that.
Because it seems applicable.
It is sadly very applicable. I wish it was not. All right, so we don't have that, but we do have Babbitt. Babbitt's like his sort of send-up of like the middle American striver, like it also has some very good echoes to a certain personality type today. I thought it's really good. Oh, have you read this? Do you like fiction?
Yes.
All right, so this book's about the Booth family. It's a novel about the Booth family, like John Wilkes Booth. Mm-hmm. But like it was a whole family of actors. Like the father was a great actor. I mean, his brother was actually a much more famous actor. And there's a statue of Edwin Booth in Gramercy Square Park. It'd be like if some famous pair of brothers today, one of them assassinated the president. Like, They weren't. It wasn't just some random guy that did it. It was one of the most famous people in the country who Lincoln had seen perform. But it's actually a really good book about I think sort of alcoholism runs through the book, generational trauma, the ego of performers. It's actually a great book. Have you read Adrian Smith's book? It's about, he's like obsessed with fishing. And so it's basically, he'll be like, so we were recording this album in the Bahamas, but really what I was doing is, here's all the fish that I caught. And it's like it's clearly his sort of therapy and meditative thing is fishing. And it's a surprisingly thoughtful and lovely book.
What's funny?
What's funny?
Yeah.
Tom Segura's book is good.
Yeah.
Have you read that one?
No.
He's amazing. That book's good. Maybe do that one.
Yeah.
And it's mostly stories. I read a lot. It's sort of my job. You can't write without reading. But for almost 15 years now, once a month, I send out an email with my favorite book recommendations for that month. Books that I've been reading, books that I've been going through, books that changed my life, that inspired me, that I think connect to what's happening in the world. And you could sign up right now at ryanholiday.net/reading list.